Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Justin Davis. Today I have a new review for you at the Drone Camp's headquarters here. This is the LDARC Kingkong DJ220. It is a 5-inch quad. You can do a top mount battery on here or you can do a bottom mount. It comes in two different versions. It comes in a kit version, which you can put together yourself, add your own camera and VTX on there. That is around the $150 mark for this quad. And I got the DJI version. This one is the bind and fly version. It does not come with an XM Plus receiver. You can bind it up to your DJI transmitter if you want, or you can put the receiver of choice on here. Around a $300 package for the DJI version. But today in this review, I'm going to talk about the components that are on here. We're going to show you some of the onboard 1080p at 60 frames per second video, which is quite good. And I'm going to share with you some of my Insta360 1R 360 video. It's really, really cool. I love this camera, and so much so that I've been exclusively using this on the channel now for my standard GoPro style shots, my head mount camera shots, and a lot of my 360 flying footage. It's better than any 360 camera I've ever had. You can turn this camera on and go to your phone and instantly be able to connect Wi-Fi to your phone, Android or iOS, and you can start to edit. And what's cool about it is you move your finger around on the screen, and in a 360 sphere, it lets you change the camera view while you're flying your quad, which is really cool. When you find the view that you want, you just click in the timeline and it makes a little keyframe, and then you move to the next part of the video, press play. You can even do this in real time, which is really cool. So as the video is playing, you can click the timeline as you're spinning the camera around with your finger and move it all around, and it is a really cool new perspective for flying. Absolutely one of the coolest investments that I have on the channel. So these are around the $450 to $475 price, but they do come with two lenses, and you can take the entire thing apart. It is modular, and the batteries cost the same as my GoPro. So my GoPro is pretty wrecked by now. It's the 7 version. I've had it for maybe 2 years now. The 8 is out, but I'm not going to buy the 8 because the 1R is so good, and it can do standard GoPro style shots with the flat singular lens, or it can do the 360 shots. If you haven't seen some of that footage on my channel, there's a ton of it already. But let's go ahead now. Let's charge up this camera. We're going to put it on top, and I'll show you some of that 1080p DVR footage as well, so you can know what you can expect if you just decide to buy the DJI version. I have to say that before we do the spec check, I have to tell you guys, this is a very smooth flying quad. And over several weeks now, I've really enjoyed flying it. I did a lot of pleasure flying with this quad because it really flies really nice. And with this aluminum bracket up front, and we have TPU dampening on the side for the camera, everything is just, it seems like it has a really, really nice factory tune. So I don't have to share any PIDs with you guys, which is super awesome. We have a really nice flying quad here for this review. So let's go ahead and check out the DJ220. Here we go. Let's check some specs, and then we'll do some flying. All right, guys, let's go ahead and take a look at the quad real quick. It is a really nice looking quad. It is low profile, True X replaceable arms. It has a classic long body frame on here for an even larger battery than a 1300, which is nice. They also included a special plastic bracket on the back, which I love. It has LEDs, the buzzer. It has special brackets that hold in place the DJI MMCX connectors, which are constantly popping off. The antennas always pop off the DJI Air module, so I'm happy to see they did that. On the bottom, if you want to put up to about a 3000 milliamp battery, you can. It also looks very low profile. I like the design from the side. You can see this is sort of a classic low profile design. And we have a pretty good power system on here. We have 2306 motors, which are good enough for freestyle or cinema, 2500 kV. We've got 5149 3-blade props. So let's go ahead and get this guy up in the air and do some flying. Okay, it's time for the FPV flight test, guys. And right now you're looking at my Insta360 1R. It's the dual lens 360 camera, super awesome. Look at how beautiful the colors look on this camera. I have to say they really pop. I like the vivid mode that they have on here. You can change the color presets to a variety of presets, and I'm a video perfectionist, and I'll tell you, I've seen some jello in here. There's a little bit of shutter, it's not the tune on the quad that you're seeing. It's actually my dampening. I don't have any dampening whatsoever on the 361R, so I could use a little bit of dampening on there, and maybe in future flights I will do that. But it also does have stabilization. It has sort of the same thing as GoPro, like that hyper smooth. I forget what they call it on this camera, but it is something that will slow down a lot of the vibes and stutter in your video. And the jello. And I can see a little bit right there if I want to be super picky. If you look really high up is where you can see a lot of jello. Down low, like I've said before on a lot of my reviews, you can't really see a lot of jello down low when you're flying low and fast and doing freestyle, unless you have a really terrible tune. But a lot of these flight controllers nowadays, they come with a great stock tune on them. So I'm going to show you some DJI footage coming up here, and in comparison between the DJI onboard DVR and this 360 camera, the 360 camera looks about 10 times better, but you're also looking at a $475 camera versus a $150 air module. So the camera itself is about $60. So if you had to replace the camera on this quad, you're looking at about 60 bucks. People think that it's expensive, around the $179 price for the air module, the DVR, the receiver, and everything in one box plus the camera. But when you think about it, that's actually a pretty good price for what you're getting, especially that if you break the camera is replaceable. There is a ribbon cable inside the DVR unit that you can just pop off very carefully and replace. Put a new one on there for about $60. There's some other high-end analog cameras that are close to that same price, so it's actually it's money well spent. Now, as far as your DJI experience goes, if you decide to buy the DJI 220 version, or you buy the analog version, depending on your budget. If you're on a budget, go for the kit. Put your own camera in there. I'll try to list a couple cameras that I like down below that are my current favorite analog cameras. $150, I think you're gonna spend probably another $50 to $75 if you went the cheap route to be able to put a VTX and a camera on the kit version. Plus you're gonna have to build it yourself. If you decide that you wanna build a nice 5-inch quad, this one wouldn't be a bad one to start with. The board on here is nice. It does have 4 UARTs, and I noticed that it does have some SDA and SCL connectors on there, which are your GPS functions. So you can also add GPS to this. You can add iNav on here, but you can also run GPS return to home. So if you decide to make this one a mountain surfer, you can do that with this frame. And the classic long body frame that they have on this quad, that's the kind of frame you want to send up the mountain with a GoPro, because it has support for a much larger battery on here, up to about, like I said before, around a 3,000 to 3,500 milliamp, which will probably get you well above 12 to 15 minute flight time if you're easy on the throttle. And you're always going to pay attention to your voltage. Your DJI goggles recently, as well as the modules, all got an update. So there's a brand new update that adds GPS return to home arrow and home icon on the screen, which is really nice. Supported in beta flight. And I'm not sure that iNav is supported yet, but hopefully in the future we'll get that. But one note for you guys that are interested in iNav, Betaflight still flies better on a quad than iNav does. That's kind of the community, what most people think about those two, including myself, and I've flown both on quads. So here you can see some of the cinematic type of shots you can get away with this quad. I talked about this before. What's so cool about this quad is it does have duality. It has sort of the best of both worlds. It can cinema all day. You can bring home some amazing shots with a 361R camera, or even the onboard DVR from the DJI Air module. And I think that if you want to freestyle it, it will freestyle all day. So it has dual purpose. It has the traditional 5-inch freestyle capability, but this is a beautiful camera, and again, my go-to camera this year. I absolutely love and adore this camera, and I have to say, my friend Tom was standing here. He spotted me on this flight, and he's all about it. He's giving me a thumbs up there. He really liked it. So now I'm going to show you guys some great footage, and we're recording some sound as well. So it records sound. You can hear motor noise. You can cut that on or off depending on what type of video you're making, which is really neat. But this was like the perfect day because a lot of guys were out flying airplanes, and I'm one of the few guys at our club, at my AMA field, that fly FPV, and they're so cool at my field. They tolerate me. I've been the drone guy for years, but most of you guys that know me, I wasn't always a drone guy. I've been flying airplanes since I was, I don't know, 6, 7 years old. So for a very long time, and a nitro plane since I was about 10. My first plane was an 8-foot wingspan bungee launch glider, believe it or not, which is kind of crazy. That was my first RC airplane, thanks to my father. And that's pretty much what got me addicted. Those and the Gullo's hand launch gliders. Used to fly them all over my yard. But trying to keep up with this nitro plane is almost impossible. Guys that fly nitro airplanes, you guys know even a 60-inch wing warbird like this one with something like a 46 size motor, man, it's hard to keep up with that plane. It's doing well over 80 miles an hour, and this is not a 100-mile-an-hour quad, I don't think, guys. 4S, it's hard to get over 100 miles an hour without getting about a 2-minute flight time. It's really extremely hard to keep up with that plane, but they're nice that they let me film those planes. And once those planes kind of get away from me there, I just kind of let them go, and let's just get back to flying this DJI DJI 220. Keep wanting to call it DJI 220, but I think that's why they're naming it the DJI DGE. But very smooth. Again, I liked flying this quad so much at the field that I was doing quite a few flights without recording for you guys because it was a fun quad just to fly because it's so smooth. It's like that quad that I want to pick up and put in my van and take with me to the field. When all my work is done, I want to fly this quad just for fun. It's my pleasure flyer now. So again, this one is definitely staying in my collection. I think it's an extremely nice quad, and I wasn't expecting it. They sent me an email and they said, would you like to review this one? Would you like to check it out? And I haven't seen Kingkong or LDARC come out with any DJI quads yet, or I haven't had one, and this is my first one from them. But I've flown Kingkong in the past for maybe about 4 years now. They're one of the original budget quad companies out there. So the parts are going to be available for this quad, and it's going to be cheap to fix. So dirt cheap parts and components, replaceable. Everything's replaceable in here, and it's a good flyer with a really decent tune. And if I do tune it further, as always, guys, I'll share it with the community. And for some reason, I tried to go through this section right here and ended up eating it. But let's go back to the studio. All right, guys, welcome back from the flight test and the spec check on this quad. So one thing that I didn't show you was this box that your DJI 220 comes in the mail in, and this is kind of the classic LDARC Kingkong RC box. It is a super hard, durable, it looks like some type of ABS plastic. It has 2 buckles on the front. The quad will fit in there props off. So it also comes with some extra accessories that I didn't show you guys before, but you get an extra rubber ring dampener. You also get some looks like some extra landing gear on the bottom for the motor bumpers, and some extra hardware in here. You also get some stickers, and you also get the DJI FPV Air unit manual that comes along in the box for setting up your air unit for the first time. Now, you have to register this unit, and you want to update the firmware. If you are new to DJI modules and digital FPV in general, go ahead and update everything. Once you get it, update your transmitter with your little USB-C cable on the bottom. Same thing on the side right here. You're going to plug the quad in, props off, do the update. Make sure that you turn this module down to about 25 milliwatt. While you're doing these updates, make sure it's not rocking 700 milliwatt. I know a lot of you guys are flying this full 700 milliwatt, and there's even a hack to be able to do like 1200 milliwatt. So the ultimate penetration. And the good news about this, if you decide to reuse this receiver, if you're looking for something long range, this will do, I would say, medium range. It'll get you out there. We've had guys testing this out to about 3 miles on this system. So a very nice penetration and long distance flying. If you're flying any distance, you always want to make sure that you're flying at a good altitude, and always keep a line of sight between the quad and your transmitter. Don't fly like 1.5 miles out and then try to dip down low to the ground, because on any radio, including Crossfire, depending on the situation, if you fly behind something, you're going to lose signal. That's just the way it is with radio wavelengths. So keep that in mind if you do some distance flying. But this is a great, in my eyes, it's a great mountain surfing quad if you want to do some medium range, or even a great parking lot flyer, something like you can fly close in and do proximity and some crazy freestyle. It is capable of freestyle. It's capable of carrying any type of action camera that you want out there. And I think my favorite thing about this quad is not only is the build quality nice on this quad, everything is replaceable. A really nice foam pad on the bumper down here for the battery. It just feels really solid made, and it flies amazing. So an excellent tune is on here. So I have to say, even with the stock props, I didn't even test this with some fancy gym fan props like I'm always rocking. I didn't do that this time. I left everything stock for you guys, and that's the best way to do any review, I think, is leave everything stock. So the motors are good. You can get up to a 5-minute flight time with this quad. If you even wanted to put a larger battery on there, you could do that, because this entire body on the bottom is open for even something as large as something like maybe like a 3500 milliamp battery if you want to get like 15-minute flight time on this quad. So nice quad all the way around. And I have to say congratulations to LDARC for their production of their new flight controller. It also has a mini USB updated cable port on here, which is kind of nice. Everything's moving over to USB-C because you don't have to fiddle with which way the direction that the old school micro USB cable plugged in. So I like to see that these companies are making these type of updates. So everything on here is awesome, including the LEDs, the buzzer. You got everything you need here on this quad. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this review and my thorough flying of the DJ220. So guys, you can check this one out in the link down below. Thanks for watching my videos. You guys, man, stay safe out there. It's so crazy right now with this pandemic and everything that's going on. It's just nuts. So be careful out there. Stay away from people, and hopefully you guys are getting plenty of flight time in. Maybe from your backyard, who knows? But hopefully you're enjoying my videos and what I'm able to bring to you guys. And yeah, one more cool new quad in my quiver. So guys, take care. I'm Justin Davis. Be well, stay safe, and I'll see you on the next one.